Let's talk about Bill Belichick's retirement, his legacy, and the future of the Patriots with Ben Volin, senior NFL writer at the Boston Globe. Ben, you've been covering this team, this franchise, this coach for decades, and they just wrapped up 24 years of greatness in 10 minutes. Typical Bill Belichick type press conference. So first and foremost, thanks for hopping on with us. And what were your biggest takeaways from what was said from owner Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway, frankly, was that I think Kraft and Belichick did a good job of making this as mutual and amicable as possible, or at least putting on a good face. Look, the reality is that Belichick was fired. He would still be coach of the Patriots today if it were up to him, but Robert Kraft, I think, rightly decided it was time to move on after 24 years. But they didn't let that get in the way of trying to at least send Belichick off appropriately. Now, they didn't take any questions from the media, but they presented a good face. They both talked about how today was a celebration, talked about how appreciative they were of each other. That was the smartest tack. Being antagonistic, no one benefits from that situation. Kraft and Belichick are going to be forever, tethered together long after they're still here on this earth. So it's smart for them to remain on good terms. And while I think Belichick still would much rather be coaching the Patriots today, they did a good job of at least presenting an amicable front.
Well, do you think there could have been or should have been a chance that he stayed on at least for one more year, drafted himself his own another quarterback, franchise quarterback to move on with? Or do you really think that, this is more of a opinion part, but you really think it was time for him to move on?
No, I do think it was time after not only 24 years, but, the last 4 years after Tom Brady have just been going backwards. No playoff wins, a 4-13 record this year that really no one saw coming, and the roster's in shambles. And it all traces back to Belichick. He's the man in charge here. And, it's time. Very rarely do you see dynasties last as long as they did here in New England. And it was an incredible run of success. But if they brought Belichick back, it would just be delaying the inevitable and just pushing off the decision another year. I think Kraft smartly saw that it's time now, and it's time to bring the Patriots into the next kind of generation of Patriots football, if you will. And there's no shame in kind of admitting that, and also being appreciative of how much success that Belichick had here over 24 years. So it was a terrific run, but just the way things were headed with the organization, it really did have to be done now.
So it's almost like Robert Kraft pretty much saved Bill Belichick's legacy from himself, because like you said, if Bill wanted to, or if it was up to him, he would still be coaching the New England Patriots. So let's talk about how he's going to be remembered in New England. Is he going to be remembered as a coach who only went to the playoffs once without Tom Brady, or respectfully remembered as the man who turned around a franchise and won 6 Super Bowls?
I do think that Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay really did kind of hurt Belichick's legacy a little bit, and a lot of people in Foxborough. I don't think it's fair to say that the Patriots' success was all because of Tom Brady, but I think clearly he was the driver of it. And Belichick, I think the last 4 years have proven that without the players, Belichick as a coach can only do so much. So the NFL truly is a player's game, and Tom Brady, not only the on-field success, but getting guys to buy in and being kind of a coach and a policeman in the locker room and getting guys to accept less on their contracts. A lot of that was Tom Brady, not Bill Belichick. And, it is going to be remembered in history that, Belichick didn't do a whole lot. Was a sub 500 coach without Tom Brady. That said, the further we get disconnected from this era, I'm talking 10, 20, 30 years down the road, I think the dominant legacy for Belichick will be success. The victories, the Super Bowls, the AFC East titles, just a measure of success that I think is going to be very difficult for anyone to replicate in the NFL again. So while right now I think the Brady's success has hurt Belichick a little bit, ultimately the further we get away, all people are going to see is that Belichick's at the top of a lot of lists, won a lot of Super Bowls, and had a lot of success here. So he's going to go down as an all-time great. There's no question about that.
Let's talk about his future. 71 years young. There are a lot of head coaching vacancies out there. What's next for Coach Belichick, especially with being only 15 wins away from tying Don Shula's all-time winning record?
Yeah, I don't think Bill Belichick is done coaching. Like I said, if it were up to him, he'd still be coaching the Patriots, and I think he wants to continue. I know he said, I think it was back in a 2009 NFL Films piece, he doesn't want to be coaching into his 70s, but he's actually already kind of apologized for that and says he regretted it and says he wants to keep going. Football is all he knows, and I think even at 71, he feels like he's still got plenty of energy left and plenty still to give. So I think there will be options for him. Maybe not as many as there once were, being 71 years old and having his recent run with the Patriots does not help his cause. But I do think there will be owners out there looking to create some buzz. And there's still no coach that creates more buzz right now than Bill Belichick. So the first team I'm looking at is the Atlanta Falcons. I've been told to watch out for them and owner Arthur Blank teaming up with Belichick. That's a team that has not had a quarterback, but otherwise is a pretty talented roster. They haven't made the playoffs in 6 years. They usually go for first-time head coaches. Arthur Blank isn't getting any younger. Maybe now's the time that he goes and tries to hit a home run with Bill Belichick. I think the Panthers could be an option. David Tepper seems to want a young, offensive-minded head coach like a Ben Johnson or a Frank Smith, but he's known, obviously, as being a pretty volatile owner, pretty short-tempered, changes his mind quickly. If he's not able to get one of these young guys, maybe he swings for the fences and gets Bill Belichick. I think that's possible. Then I think you have to look at a few of the teams that are still in the playoffs. The Cowboys, the Eagles, the Buccaneers. If they have an ugly early exit from the playoffs, I think those coaches could be in trouble, and I could see Bill Belichick joining up with any of those organizations as well. The Bucs have always loved big name coaches and quarterbacks. Tom Brady, they tried to get Brett Favre, they tried to get Parcells, they did get John Gruden. I could see them going for Bill Belichick. So watch out for the playoffs this weekend. If one of those teams, Cowboys, Eagles, Buccaneers, has a bad loss this weekend, watch out for their coaches being on the hot seat and for that as a potential destination for Belichick.
Well, I'm glad we had you on because those are three teams that didn't even cross my mind at all. So now I'll be looking at it like the Bill Belichick sweepstakes. Whoever loses their first round, their wild card game, could potentially get a future Hall of Fame coach. Let's talk about New England and their future. They've obviously have to fill the big shoes to fill here. So who are some potential candidates to be the new head guy in New England? And who do you think would be the best fit for this organization?
Yeah, so many questions. The first to me is, are they going to split Bill Belichick's job into two jobs? Are they going to hire a traditional general manager and a head coach? We're supposed to speak with Robert Kraft later today, so it'll be interesting to see if he has any answers about the future of the franchise. To me, the head coaching search, I think, has to center around three guys, and they all have ties to the Patriots. And to me, it's Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, and Gerard Mayo. Vrabel is someone I've told that the Krafts have always been kind of enamored with. He's got a great record of success with the Titans. I know the last 2 years didn't go well, but before that, he won every year with the Titans, took them to an AFC championship game, won some road playoff games, including one in Foxborough against Tom Brady. Brian Flores, another guy with head coaching experience. He was a Patriot here for 15 years, doing a good job now with the Minnesota Vikings as their defensive coordinator. And then Gerard Mayo, a defensive coach with the Patriots now as well. He's someone the Krafts think very highly of. They've been talking about him as a potential future head coach now for, basically the last year. So I think it's got to be one of those three guys. I think Vrabel has the best combination of everything. He's got the most experience. He's got the best network as far as guys he could bring in for the front office or for his coaching staff. Maybe an Arthur Smith comes in to run the offense. Maybe they keep Josh McDaniels. Gerard Mayo, to me, has the least amount of experience and the smallest network. But if the Krafts are enamored with Mayo, perhaps he's the choice. But I would go for the experience, and I tend to think that Vrabel would be a home run for the Patriots.
Really fast, what's your best Bill Belichick story or moment that you've had covering the Patriots since he was head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's one that I think everyone saw. It was during Deflategate in the very beginning, and he had this press conference where he went on for over a half hour, and he was it was almost like stand-up comedy. He was cracking jokes and talking about he's not the Mona Lisa Vito of of ball deflation experts, and it was a side of Belichick we rarely get to see. Also, there's a clip that goes around social media a lot. I asked him a question one day about long snappers and why teams need to have a dedicated roster spot for long snappers, and he went on for like 10 minutes and just broke down every intricacy of long snapping and the history of the position and how they didn't, they used to have linebackers and tight ends do it, but then it became so important that they switched to having a full-time guy. And it was just such a thorough breakdown of such a mundane aspect of football. And it was exactly what you think of when it comes to Bill Belichick, just thinking through every detail and the thoroughness of his answers and his preparation. That to me was just like the quintessential Bill Belichick moment right there.
He spoke longer on long snappers than he did about him parting ways with the franchise that he's been with for 24 years. Classic Bill Belichick. Ben, that was great, man, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.